the band that was there, including some of the originals, held it down. Because a bitch would have threw some rotten tomatoes at his broke neck ass. I don't give if he's still lunching off the dipper from 1975 or what. Bitch, I pay my money, be there. Speaking of that, girl, I know Beyonce ain't got shit to do with this, but you Beehive, y'all is pissed at that. Oh my life. Hello there, love bugs. Hello there, bellas. If you have not already done so, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and tip your favorite narrator via Cash App at $NAROB on YouTube. And if you are not already a part of this book club, please hit the Patreon link below in the description bar and or the join button right here on the YouTube. All paying members, we're going to push through the rest of this Sly Stone book. Not because I don't think it's good. I just want to push through it so that I can start another book before the end of this month. So the paying members, look out either here on the community tab or over there on the Patreon, wherever it is you pay your monthly fees, because I need you all to vote soon for what the next book is. This is for the paying members. Now, all right, let's continue reading. Thank you for letting me be myself again. We kept on touring. Louisville one night, Worcester, Ohio the next, Montreal one night, Ottawa the next, Minneapolis, Tampa, Philly. Sometimes our opening act was Ruth Copeland, not at my home studio in Bel Air anymore, but out on the road. Remember, the Motown producer, had brung his wife Ruth Copeland to the Stone House to get produced, and she got more than the production. She got the pickle. And then, oh my God, Sly was like, okay, I'm back here hunching on his wife. Put the nigga out. The man was like, I'm not going nowhere without my wife. Sorry, but your wife's staying. You leaving. Go back to Motown. Do whatever it was that you was doing over there in Motown. Of the new songs, only Family Affair showed up on the set list, which threw off some newspaper writers. Why would 1972 just repeat 1970? There were new sounds on the radio. Al Green's Let's Stay Together, Bill Withers' Lean on Me, Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway's Where's the Love? I didn't like Curtis Mayfield's Freddie's Dead because my brother name was Freddie and the song gave me a bad feeling. But I liked Superfly and Pusha Man, especially those high harmonies. I was making new music in the studio and was happy to bring it to the stage, but I hadn't been able to rehearse the band on the rest of the record, not the way I needed to. Every day, without exception, bring a lunch. We did spin things differently, slowing songs down like I had done with Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself Again. We had a few days off here and there. If I could, I would see a movie. I liked Bruce Lee. Sheesh. Everybody in the 70s loved the Bruce Lee. You hear me? I was a little girl. And I wanted to kung fu fight. I don't know why back in the 70s, it was like little black children were so enamored with the art of kicking ass, kung fu style. Everybody was kung fu. The number of shows hadn't decreased. Neither had the number of articles about my supposed trouble making them on time. In April, there was a piece in the paper, partly a review of a show at the Apollo, partly a review of me, a has-been at 26. Sly Stone hits a slump, turns into lackluster no-show. The piece opened with a quote about inevitable downfalls, a quote taken from Somebody's Watching You, and then tried to make the case that I had reached the end of the line. It also noted that I had made 41 or 43 shows since September of the year before. Despite those statistics, it said I was saddled with a reputation. So let me take a pause right quick here. Whenever I read a book, I also research. That's Roro playing with his bonky bonk toy, right? In the background. So please forgive the bonky bonk in the background. Whenever I read a book, I do research. I look up interviews. If I can find an article online relative to whatever era I'm reading in a particular part of the book, I try to incorporate that in also to the video outside of what is written in the book. And consistently, when I watched interviews from the 70s and the 80s with Sly Stone, it was always him addressing his no-shows. Always. And him trying to convince the people that things will not be what he has already proven to be. I saw an interview with Dick Cavett, Mike Douglas, David Letterman. Man, when I tell you David Letterman was my guy for a long time, it was because Johnny Carson had retired and Jay Leno stepped in, and child, I don't know why I didn't like that nigga. So then I fell in love with David Letterman, right? And it was again him providing new music, which was good at the time, and him convincing or trying to convince the audience that he would not let them down. Okay, let's pick that up and put that right here. So I had seen a video of Sly and the Family Stone doing a live concert. I forgot where it was. It was an hour-long set. And can I tell you that motherfucker didn't get there to 30 minutes in? I was pissed. And I know them people who paid their ticket was also pissed. Nigga, I'm here to see you. The band that was there, including some of the originals, held it down. His sister and Cynthia Robinson, I know for sure, was there. But luckily, they held it down. Because a bitch would have threw some rotten tomatoes at his broke neck ass. I don't give a fuck if he's still lunching off the dipper from 1975 or what. Bitch, I pay my money. Be there. Speaking of that, girl, I know Beyonce ain't got shit to do with this, but you Beehive, y'all is pissed at that bitch. How dare you bitch sell me a $300,000 ticket? Me, because I am a enterprising type gal. I know he got a cousin that look like him. I know he do, somewhere. If I was effed up and I needed to be at shows, I would have an understudy. You know, I know you like Nay, but people want to see the original, the Sly Stone. But the truth of the matter is the truth of what it is. I'm sorry, audience, but I got to send my cousin Billy in there to lip sync to my music because I can't do it, you know? And if you do it right, nobody will find out. Ultimately, it seems like what destroyed him was his lack of accountability and consistency with these shows. The truth was that we were grinding at a grueling pace. I could push through in November and December when there was a new album to promote. But by spring, I was tapped. The road had taken its toll. I didn't miss many shows, but I was sometimes late. And when I showed, the shows were sometimes as short as the candle I was burning at both ends. See, that's your fault. You think you the only celebrity that's tired? When we read the Supremes book, it was one time that Motown or Bertha Gordy had them girls, them Supremes girls, so hot, tired, and bothered that Diana Ross had a nervous breakdown on stage. It's all about your drive. You can't want to be a celebrity and not put the work in to be a celebrity. You got to constantly show, baby. Even down here on the YouTube, let me tell you something. Some of my people rely on my videos to get them out of bed. Even if they don't mess with the book, they still look forward to me uploading every morning so that when they open their eyes, they know a NAROB video is going to be there Monday through Friday. I set a precedence, and now I'm trying my hardest to keep it. If I don't do it, it's because I'm either sick or I'm giving myself a needed break. Wick or fuse, it felt like an explosion was coming. Dave Kapralik had burned his candles down too, which meant that he wasn't taking care of business. That meant money failing to flow toward us at the proper rate, which meant missed payments on the Bel Air house. Strain over studio time, a general feeling that bank balances were imbalanced. The trouble around the band started to become trouble in the band. Larry was still making his own arrangements and plans, still hiring his own people. He had a guy who would walk a step in front of him, an intense look on his face like he was clearing the way for the president. And he was working with a side band, Hot Chocolate, and spending time with the group's singer, Patrice Chocolate Banks, no relation to Bubba. And Jerry was unhappy to the point where he made it known that he wanted to leave. That was hard for me. He had been there from the start, from before the start. And though I wasn't worried about being lost where the music was concerned, I was doing more and more on my own. Jerry was a family cornerstone. Still, I had my eyes and ears open for a replacement. When we were in New York at the plaza, a young guy came to see me. He told me that he heard I was looking for a horn player. This kid, Italian, smiled easily, was from a musical family. His mother played concert piano. He had worked all around club dates, straight jazz, a gig with Tito Puente, bubblegum. I didn't want to talk to him around the other musicians, so I motioned towards the bathroom. We went in there. "You any good?" I said. He nodded, played me a little. That was the interview. That was Pat Rizzo. I brought Pat into the band thinking Jerry would go, but Jerry stayed. The two of them had their jealousies at first, and I didn't try to stop it on either side. That kind of thing can make people better players, and they ended up being cool with each other. Pat didn't catch on right away. At one early gig, I heard him playing too much to try to fit in. Man, I told him there's plenty of people in this band. But he got there. He knew more jazz, which you could hear in his playing, and he knew lots of people. One of them was Jilly Rizzo, who owned Jilly's, one of Frank Sinatra's favorite hangouts. The follow-up to Riot was Burbling by Fall. We didn't have a name for the album yet, but we had some full songs and plenty of pieces. We got down to assembling them in the record plant, not the old studio, but a new one that had just opened in Sausalito near the harbor. Madison Square Garden always felt like a place to recharge fertile soil. Our 1972 shows scheduled for the week of Thanksgiving promised to be the usual big crowds, big money, big news, though they also required a tight turnaround. When we were in New York, we were set to fly right back to Los Angeles for a benefit concert sponsored by KROQ. The day of the first show, I wandered in and around Town Square. The Macy's parade was that morning. Snoopy was in it and Smokey the Bear. The underdog balloon had to be twice as good. I was always interested in gear, so I wandered into Harvey's, an electronics store on 45th Street. One of the clerks noticed me immediately. I had a buckskin jacket and a big belt buckle. None of that had anything to do with why I was noticed. That was on account of the silver holster on my hip and the silver pistol in it. I grabbed the gun out of the holster, set it back in, grabbed it out, set it back in, grabbed it out, and so on. Oh, he lunging. What he's smoking a dipper tonight? In my head, I was clear on what was happening. The gun was a toy. The draw was a game. I thought I might run into Sammy Davis Jr. later that night. He had sent word he might come to the show, and Sammy liked those kinds of contests. He had been in the Rifleman and sharpened his first draw abilities, but I liked to win. Pistol grabbed, pistol replaced. I'm from Fort Worth, I said, which was sort of true, and then I'm a cowboy, which also is sort of true. I didn't explain myself beyond that. No one asked me to do so. This nigga is lunching. He is lunching. The fuck are you pulling your gun in and out? In and out, in and out. Clerk who had taken notice of me put his hand over his mouth and spoke quickly and quietly to a clerk who hadn't noticed me. That second clerk called the cops. The cops came, the cowboy was taken down to the station. The gun and holster were taken away from the cowboy. People said I was lucky the cop didn't just walk into the store and shoot me without asking questions. Yes, what the I got out in time to make it to the garden. The show, which must go on, did. The staple singers opened for us. I ended up not seeing Sammy that night, still undefeated in quick draw. All things considered, that first night went off okay. The second night seemed snake bit.